Hey folks, today we're talking about legacy planning, why it matters to you, and how you could benefit from having some good advice on that point. I'm Rob Tatro from robtatro.com, head of the Tatro Wealth Advisor Group here at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management. Brings me great joy to be here today. If this is important to you, if you feel like you need some advice here or you'd like to get further information, go for a free consultation. Go to speaktorob.com. We'd be happy to help you out. Book a time and you could actually speak to Rob. I'm here today. I'm lucky to be here today with Adam Buss, Wealth and Estate Planner here at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management. I believe your title is Wealth and Estate Planning Specialist.
That is correct.
All right.
Yes.
You got to get the title right. All right. Blue chairs again. I love these chairs.
Yes.
Let's get right into it, Adam. Legacy planning. What does that mean for you?
For me, the first thing that pops to mind is, well, obviously trying to leave a lasting legacy. You've spent your lifetime, building a lot of wealth. Who's going to get that wealth when you pass away? Legacy planning is an important part of the overall estate planning that we do for clients. Some people don't care if they leave any money to anybody in particular, and there's certainly no right answer or wrong answer. Do they want to have charitable aspirations? All those different things that we kind of want to factor in for a client situation. Right.
So you would say that this is obviously part of proper financial planning and estate planning.
Absolutely, yes. It's deciding who's going to get your money and in what way, shape, or form should they get it.
Mm-hmm. And see, I think legacy planning, I kind of have this vision of kind of multi-generational money or like leaving a legacy. And for some people that might mean, you talked about charitable giving. For some people that might mean, their name on a wing or on a building or something like that. But for other people, it might mean, leaving all of it to their direct descendants or their grandkids, or some of it might want, some sort of trust for long-term aspirations. So I guess it would be all of that, encompassing all that.
It's pretty much a little bit of everything. Depends on what's for that client's unique situation. Do they want to leave a large chunk of wealth to charity? Do they want that charity to get all the money when they pass away? Do they want to, create a foundation or something along those lines ahead of time to create that lasting legacy? An endowment fund that's going to be to their family's name, whether it's to a university, hospital, wherever it happens to be. Leave the next generation of their family better off financially than they were, right?
Why would the planning be so important in something like this? Wouldn't you just say, I'm going to pass away on this day. Whatever's left is simply going to go to whatever I decided. Why would the planning be that important?
You can certainly do that, but you want to make sure that everything's lined up ahead of time. Is your estate documentation up to date? So is what you want to happen actually going to happen because you've done that pre-planning of kind of lining all those things up ahead of time? Is there more efficient ways of doing
taxes,
it down the road,
I bet
right?
you.
Taxes, okay? It's great. I mean, offsetting a large tax bill at time of death with a large charitable donation can be quite powerful when it comes to your estate tax bill. But we want to look at where should that money come from? Is there money in a corporation? Is it using a life insurance policy? All those different things that we want to factor in.
And I would imagine the earlier you get started on that planning, the legacy planning, the better would be, I guess, first of all, tax-wise, and probably more comfort, I imagine, at the end of the day for the client, the individual as well.
Yeah, I mean, if we can, put certain strategies in place ahead of time and say, well, we want to make sure we're leaving, $1 million for the charity that's important to you without sacrificing your lifestyle. We have that ability to kind of implement some of those things the sooner we start.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're also talking succession. So we talked, or we will talk a bit about, maybe you have a farm succession or business succession, or any kind of type of succession for you. Mm-hmm. How does that play into the legacy?
That's perfect for business owners or farmers specifically. I mean, they've put their heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears into these operations of theirs, and they want that to continue in the family and stay potentially in the bloodline. They need to do a lot of work ahead of time, planning who's going to take over the succession of those operations, make sure that goes as smoothly as possible so that the business can continue to maintain a profitability and continue to the next generation.
Especially those businesses that might carry the family name, right? So you want to make sure that the brand is strong, the situation is strong, the tax situation is strong, so that the company survives and potentially lives for a while. And I guess at that point you might be involving kind of the next generation or even two generations.
If there's multiple children, it's like, who's going to take over the operation? Sometimes the person that you've always thought is going to take it over isn't actually the one that wants to take it over. Maybe it's a different child that actually was waiting to take over the business in the wings.
Can you think of a situation where either you were presented with a case or a situation where there was a significant error done on the planning, on the legacy planning, or maybe the opposite? Maybe you saw something that saved, a ton of taxes, or was just phenomenally well planned out, that the client ended up being, significantly ahead, or ended up having a situation where, the legacy planning dramatically altered their situation?
Well, I would like to think that all cases that I get involved in kind of has that result, that we're saving the clients a ton of money tax wise, and kind of doing a lot of pre-planning. There's a lot of worst case scenarios out there. A family has a farm, they leave each of their kids, X amount of the acreage in the long run of things, but that's not necessarily the most efficient way of doing things, especially only if one of those kids actually wants the farm operation. Now that one sibling has to go out and buy out all the other siblings from the farm just to get all the land that they wanted to begin with. When
Right,
mom
and
and dad could have done some pre-planning.
You get some tax on both sides there, I would imagine.
Exactly, yeah.
So you get a huge tax bill up front and then another tax bill on the transfer.
Right, it's not
just
the most
not
efficient,
efficient. Okay. So any last thoughts on legacy planning, Adam?
Well, that can still apply, again, family cottage, who's going to take that over? Maybe in the family for 60 years, huge tax bill. Are we going to put the kids into financial difficulty? Do they have to go and mortgage the property just to make sure the taxes are paid?
Right, because sometimes you'll have, a cap gain that's generally not your primary residence, so you'll have a
Correct.
capital gain. The capital gain might be the majority of the value of the cottage, because, values have appreciated. So you're looking at a 25% tax bill potentially on a capital gain of a cottage, and now there's no money potentially.
Yeah.
The next generation, where do they have to either fire sale the cottage or get a mortgage on it, and how are they going to fund that mortgage after that? So
it comes with pre-planning. If you can choose ahead of time, you have three choices. Do you want your family to get money, a charity, or the CRA? If you can pick any of those two by planning ahead of time, I'm assuming you're going to try to leave CRA out of the equation as often as possible. But without proper pre-planning, the choice isn't necessarily yours.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Adam. Again, I'm Rob Tatro from robtatro.com, head of the Tatro Wealth Advisory Group here at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management. And today we touched on legacy planning. If this is something that interests you, go to speaktorob.com. We'd love to book a consultation with you. And again, thanks for tuning in.